Pessoal, agora sim, estamos de volta aqui com a nossa programação. Dessa vez vamos ter também mais uma entrevista aqui no palco. E os nossos convidados vêm para compartilhar a experiência do BNP Paribas como membro de compensação no mercado norte-americano de energia e discutir o modelo americano como uma inspiração para a entrada de grandes players internacionais no Brasil. Então, para esse nosso próximo painel, os nossos convidados são Global Head Corporate Sales do BNP Paribas, Bertrand Meyer, e novamente aqui no palco, Chief Risk Officer da Nodal Exchange, Huan Zhang. The stage is yours.
All right, this is second last, I guess. During our previous conversations, we obviously have talked a lot about the system, the safeguard related issues, but one of the things we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time on is the critical importance or critical roles that the clearing members themselves play. So, somebody has already mentioned, but it was brief, in terms of getting the customers access, providing all the services, and also providing the guarantee fund to the clearinghouse, and so on and so forth. So the clearing members are really, really important for the cleared ecosystem. And today, we have the pleasure to have Bertrand Meyer, the global head of corporate sales at BNP Paribas, with us to share their experience in terms of supporting the cleared market itself. So first of all, Bertrand, can you do a quick introduction of yourself?
Yes, sure. Obrigado, Juan. Sorry, I will do it in English. I'm not speaking Portuguese, sorry for that. Yes, so I spent the last 25 years working for BNP Paribas. So on the OTC side and on the clearing side. So I'm in charge of the clearing activity for BNP Paribas. I'm covering the sales team focused on corporate clients. But just before, because I was discussing with my compliance, so I need to do some disclaimer. So during the next 30 minutes, I will not be offering any financial product or services. So I will describe what we're doing, but I'm not selling it. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I'm speaking just to professional clients, so not to retail clients, very important. So now if there is any compliance or regulator in the room, so I did my disclaimer. Yes, so to come back to me, yes, so I spent the last 25 years, let's say, covering commodities, and power is on the top, probably, of the commodity. So we have teams in Europe, obviously, but we have teams also in Asia, in Hong Kong, Singapore, and also in the US, in New York. And we have BNP Paribas in Brazil. So we have around 1,500 people here in Brazil on the ground, speaking obviously Portuguese, not like me.
All right, great. Let's start with a high-level question. Can you give us an overview and the history of BNP Paribas' support of the clearing the markets, specifically in the energy and also in electricity market itself?
Yes, so BNP Paribas, we started 40 years ago, so around 1984-85, to provide clearing services covering energy product. So it's a long time ago, knowing that the first power derivative product was launched in Europe, not in the US, but in Europe, through Nord Pool. Sorry for EEX. But in 2002, in fact, so Deutsche Börse, Eurex, and ECC started to launch power contract, so derivative contract. And Nodal in around 2009 to 2008 to 2009. So for BNP Paribas, it was important to help our clients, because we're here, again, to face and to help our clients. And clients, they are using to hedge their pricing risk, or bilateral, OTC, or listed contract. So what is important for our clients, and the same for clients here in Brazil, local clients or international clients, in their toolbox, in terms of hedging capacity, they want to have bilateral So over-the-counter with ISDA and listed products. Very important. So it's not one who will cannibalize the other. They are working together. So I just wanted to start with that. Now, what is important for us is to understand the market. It's very important. Understand our client, understand the market. And when we speak about power, so the market value of the power market, globally, it's around 2 trillion. And probably in 10 years, it will go to 4 trillion. Again, everywhere, not obviously in Brazil. What is interesting, if we do a zoom on the power and listed power, so last year, in terms of volume, not just in Europe, but covering also the US, so the volume on listed derivative contract covering power increased by 60%, 60, so for the volume. So just to give you some figures, it's around 12,000 terawatt. So to do the parallel with the consumption of power in Brazil it's around 600 terawatt. So versus the listed volume on EX, which was 12,000 terawatt. Again, global, and compared to the 600 terawatt for Brazil. So it's a growing market. I'm not speaking about database, AI, but all of us, we're using iPhone, mobile, we are using, Uber, we're using more and more electricity, so the society will rely more and more on power. So that's given. So there will be some hiccup and some volatility, but yes, so this is a starting point. So we need power, is strategic. And what we see on commodities, when you look at all the different underlying, commodities are the most volatile underlying. And on the top of commodities, you have power. So that's super important. And so because they are volatile, you need to be able to have some tools to neutralize the risk that you have. And obviously, this one of the advantage by using clearing members and clearing houses. So again, to answer to your question, yes, so BNP Paribas is an important, I would say, service that we are providing to our clients globally, but also to our clients here in Brazil. And you heard that this today. And again, thanks again for Audrey and N5X to organize that, and B3 to organize this event. We see that there is some needs here in Brazil. So let's try to put some solution in place together. And so we have smart people, we have a smart solution, and my feeling that obviously in the coming years there will be, let's say, this solution in place for our clients. Yes, and we will try to be part of it.
All right, great. So, over a few decades, I'm sure you have had a lot of challenges and learned a lot of lessons. Do you want to share a few of those with our audience here?
Yes. So you described the different crises, and so I think what is important is that, again, to understand the client's need, the market, but also what is important is to have the proper, and I think Anne from Shell was speaking about operation risk, and also cybersecurity is very important. So you need really to have some risk culture, and so that's important. Default will always happen, that's for sure, for different reasons. Volatility will always be here, and obviously mainly because of climate change. So here, what you need, you cannot prevent an incident, but you can try to limit the impact, and this is probably the advantage of a clean house, as mentioned before by Marcello, also by Carlos, is that because of the collateral that you need to post. And again, one of the advantages of the CCP is that you will have compensation members, what we call FCM in the US or clearing banks in Europe. So these parties, they will be kind of buffer, and they will organize all the collateral flow between the client and the clearing house. So they are working like kind of insurance just to prevent such kind of default, to limit the default. And again, as you mentioned, we went through different crises, so ERCOT in Texas, Ukraine, and so with really high volatility on gas, TTF, and BP, but also before on oil and also on power. And it's true that the ecosystem didn't default, which is very important, which will be very important for Brazil because, again, power is strategic for the country. And also what you can see is that, in fact, each client, each clearing banks, and each CCP in Europe, they are improving, I will say, the workflow and the setup through the modelization, through the diversification of collateral, and the selection of clients, which is very important. Because we see, and the experience that we see, probably, and no offense, Europe is was a little bit for historical reason in advance on the power market. So today we see the usual utilities. So I will not mention them, but you know the names because they are here also. But you see also no financial institution part of the market. You see also hedge funds now stepping in. And so you see liquidity in the market, which is very important. Because when we speak about power, you need liquidity to hedge pricing risk. And I think step by step, we'll see such kind of trend also in Brazil. But again, let's do it step by step. Let's ensure that the existing, I will say, players, they are confident. And you know, we are all humans, we hate changes. But we know that this change probably will add value to the system today because that's what we hear today. And that's what I'm hearing when I'm visiting all the clients that we have in Brazil. So I think it will be a plus. So my experience is like, again, we're not cannibalizing the OTC market. It will stay. But you will have more tools to hedge your pricing risk. And one thing which was mentioned by Carlos, you have bridges between the two, which is very important. So you can do what we call liquidity swap. So to reduce the liquidity risk, you can decide to move from listed product to OTC, and you can decide to move from OTC to listed, depending on the cost, depending on the risk. So you have these bridges which are in place. So again, I know that some parties here, they're a bit afraid because of the revenue that they're generating, the OTC part. But you should not be afraid. The two markets will work in parallel.
Yeah, I really want to concur that point, which is the important role of the cleared market itself to support the bilateral market in return. So a lot of the banks, kind of similar to you guys, in terms of providing bilateral hedges to a lot of the power generation through the long-term PPAs. But then oftentimes, in order to hedge their own book or reduce the capital charges or because of different considerations, they go to the cleared market itself to rely on the liquidity to hedge themselves. It's not going to be a perfect hedge, but at the same time, it's still a much better situation than not having that hedge itself. So that's a very important point, I think, for people to kind of keep in mind. You obviously, as one of the largest clear members supporting the electricity market in both Europe and in the US, you have seen a lot of evolution of the market structures in those two markets. Can you give us some inspiration or give us your inspiration in terms of how the Brazilian market is going to evolve based on your experience in those two markets?
Yes. So it's interesting indeed to do the parallel between the different power markets. You have around 40 different power markets in Europe. You have two main ones in the US on the listed side. You have one in Japan, one in Australia. So we have the experience because we are in all these locations, and obviously we're looking at Brazil. So you have the same type of structure between generation, between, let's say, distribution, between transmission, the grid, so and we call them TSO in Europe, we call them ISO in the US. So you have also a grid here. So grid here, you have obviously the general public who are using electricity. So you have, I would say, everywhere the same type of component parties. Now you have obviously different source of the way to generate power. It's true that here it's mainly a renewable power. You have still some thermic type of power plants, but the majority is renewable. In Europe, it will be more hydro, so renewable in the north of Europe. In the middle, mainly in France, is what you call nuclear type of power. In south, so Spain and Portugal will be more also renewable. In the US, it's a mix, probably more thermic and now more and more nuclear. And obviously in Brazil, it's mainly renewable. You have also some thermic power plant. So the mix is the same everywhere. The parties are the same. Now there are some specificities between where the power is generated, obviously the north, and the usage is more in the I will say in the south, obviously Sao Paulo and Rio region, and so you have some discrepancy in terms of pricing because of some transmission, I will say, concern, as discussed today. So there are some specificity here in Brazil, but I think you have the same. We're speaking about electron power. We're speaking about the same type of player, and so again we see the same pattern. To come back to N5X and to B3, and I think today there is no clearinghouse covering the power market, and obviously we see that to come back to clients, which is very important for us. Clients, they are looking for solution, and I think that N5X could bring a solution to the issue which is in market, so related to risk of default. We're mentioning 8, 10 parties defaulting, but I think we need to be careful about. We are speaking about counterparty risk, we're speaking about market risk, and Marcello really describes the different type of risk: operation risk, cyber security risk. But here, keep in mind that probably the risk that we'll see more and more is liquidity risk, because as soon as we speak about on exchange, we are speaking about collateral. So initial margin, variation margin, and because of the volatility, the initial margin and variation margin, you have a lot of volatility, and depending on the model which will be put in place. So I will not go into the details, but it means that depending on the volatility, short term or long term, the total collateral that clients will have to post can be exponential. So, and this is where banks, FCM, compensation parties, we can step in because we can be the buffer. We can offer different solutions, what we call collateral optimization, collateral solution. So because we heard what Marcelo was saying, the N5X will be probably the same. We'll be able to accept cash, but also govies, so government bonds. But we can do some transformation, and we can put some collateral solution just to have this buffer in terms of liquidity in case some stress market, depending obviously of the credit exposure that each banks will have. But we can bring this buffer into the market, and we can provide what we call collateral accommodation or substitution, accepting, I will not go into the details here, but accepting, for example, guarantees, mutualizing the risk, having some off-balance sheet type of solution. And we know that our clients, they are really, let's say, enjoying such kind of solution, which is very important. And we will see and we'll be able to offer, pending some condition, probably the same type of solution here in Brazil.
Yeah. So in terms of clear members, in the US at least, you have large financial institutions, the bank affiliated FCMs providing clear member service. You also have the non-bank FCMs, which are probably a little more similar to the brokers here. But obviously BNP is a large bank affiliated FCM. How do you perceive the large financial institution affiliated FCM in terms of supporting the cleared markets itself to accelerate or help with the liquidity and the attractiveness of the market itself?
Yeah, I think it will be the same for every FCM, can be, you name it. So they will look at, again, they will discuss with the client, and they will, like us, we are discussing with our client, and we try to see how we can help our clients, I would say everywhere, so also in Brazil, and so they will ensure that they will have the proper, I will say, client base, and keep in mind that clients, they are well known by banks because they will have banking relationship with them. So we know the majority of them. We are doing the KYC, know your client. We're doing the credit review of our clients. So it's a way also to secure the process. So because we don't want to onboard a client which could default. Keep in mind that this is also important when you do the parallel with, for example, the US or in Europe, knowing that you have different model between the US and Europe. You have a what you call principal-to-principal model in Europe and an agency model in the US. So here it will be more a kind of agency model in Brazil. But at the end, ultimately, if something is happening, you know, the clearing members can be also on the hook. So this is why for us, we want to ensure that if there is a volatile market, and there will be, if there is some increase in terms of collateral, and it will be, and we will see some, so that the client will be able to cover it, or we can help them to cover it. So the same, I will say, usual suspect in terms of financial institution, banks, they will go through the same type of review. But again, what is important is that, you know, it's not just BNP Paribas, but you will have a multiple number of clearing banks who will be able to mutualize the risk between ourselves, yes.
Yeah, that's super important. Like, you know, to have a efficient market, you really need a diverse set of clearing members to be able to participate in the market, to provide diverse set of services to all types of clients, right? Some of the banks may prefer certain type of clients. Other banks or non-bank FCMs, we may prefer or may be able to support different kinds of clients or, you know, smaller clients, for example. So it's very important to have a diverse set of clearing members. And also, the more clearing members, like you said, the more clearing members you have, the more they can kind of share the burden of the guarantee fund and therefore provide a better support or a better safeguard to the overall ecosystem itself. So the next question, so in terms of being a clearing member, what are the main criteria that you think is required for an institution, whether it's a bank affiliated or not, to act as a clearing member, and what type of maybe technology-wise or institutional type of preparation they will need to have?
Yes. So in the kind of I'm always using the Rubik's Cube as a kind of example. You need to have everything in place to serve your clients. Keep in mind that especially on power, you have a lot of data, so you need to be able to process all the information, and so because again you have a case in Europe, case in the US, and probably will be the case also in Brazil. So you need to have a kind of stable platform so that you can provide the information to your clients, like you. When you are deciding to sign and to open a bank account, you want to go on internet to receive all the information, quasi real time, and so this will be the same for clearing banks. So when you're opening not a clearing bank but a clearing account, so you want to ensure that you know all the information that you see, that you can process them. So through different type of flow, different type of file, and so that quasi real time you have the information, so that the trader, that the client, the treasurer, the CFO, they can see again the exposure that they have, they can see the funding that they will need, they can see the pricing and the discovery pricing that they have, and the cost. So because you can see for each transaction, because there will be a cost to it, and so that again the market will be more transparent and you have the proper data. So platform is very important. So this also we see some comments that we're doing with N5X. So we need to onboard the proper, I will say, back office system, so that the information is spread between, I will say, all the industry through the clearing members. We need to select the client properly, so that's important. So here I will be, I don't know if Marcello is still here, but probably Marcello, I will not completely agree with Marcello. Keep in mind that the power market is a very specific market. So do we want to have somebody on the street to trade on the power market? Maybe not. So we need to be careful about you know, onboarding let's say anybody on this market, because it's a sensitive market, it's a specialized market. So we need to select the type of clients that we want to onboard. So this part of the credit and KYC process, and then obviously you need to discuss with your client, because the client, they're coming back about some concern that they have, and so what we're doing. We're trying to work on solution with CCPs, with exchange, with clients, just to put the proper solution for our end users, for our clients. And I think My feeling is that today, when we discuss, I heard the different people, I will say, describing the market, again, everybody is really pushing the same direction, and smart people, technical people, and I'm convinced that there will be a solution in place, yes.
Yeah, great. So there are, in the audience, there are other financial institutions who may want to become clear members and support N5X in the future. This is not for you to show them your secret sauce to create your future competitors, but if you do have some recommendations for them who are interested in becoming a clear member, what would that message be?
Let's say you need, again, you need to be aligned with your clients. I think that's the first part, and you need to understand your client needs, and you need to invest in the platform. It's very important to have the proper platform, because we're speaking about volume here, and so it's not, let's say, at the beginning probably it will be small volume, but then we'll see volume increase depending on the liquidity. So we need to be able to process volume. You need to be able to then to provide the proper information to the client, provide the proper report to the regulator, because the regulator obviously will watch and will ask for some information. And so you need to have the proper, I will say, toolkits, again, to be able to provide clearing services to a client. Knowing that you can cover execution, you can cover clearing, so organizing all the settlement process, all the collateral process, and you need to be able to provide proper collateral. So it's true that rating is very important, and investment is very important. Again, it's a heavy investment to invest in clearing and the platform. And here, I will say the key banks were here to help our clients also, and to help, I will say, the exchange and the CCP.
All right, great. Those are all the questions. Thanks for joining us, Bertrand. It's really, really helpful. Hopefully the audience enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan and Bertrand. Thank you so much.